When Herb Reed introduced the Slug-Go around 35 years ago in 1988 or 89, he's not sure exactly which year, he knew he had something different than what every other lure maker was offering: a soft-bodied jerkbait that you rigged yourself, with or without weight, depending on the conditions and situation you found yourself in on the water. The introduction of the Slug-Go created a whole new genre of fishing lure and fishing style. It was unlike any of the hard-bodied jerkbaits on the market, and neither did it have that kind of built-in predictable wobble of those hard-bodied baits. After building around 60 prototypes using various materials and configurations, Reed settled on soft plastic. He was looking to create a weedless jerkbait that could be fished in heavy cover, something like a Rapala, but weedless. The soft plastic enabled him to rig it with one hook versus weed-catching trebles, and the design gave the bait an erratic action, making it appear injured or vulnerable to predators. No one had seen anything like it before. A bait that looked like a cross between a soft plastic worm and a hard-bodied minnow bait, but one that could be fished like a hard-bodied jerkbait, with periodic twitches or sweeps of the rod in heavy weeds. Nothing has really changed in the design of the Slug-Go in the last 30 or 35 years, except now there are more sizes that Lunker City, Herb Reed's company, releases. The 6-inch Slug-Go is still the most popular. This is the 6-inch. This is the 4.5-inch, and this is the 9-inch. And there are other sizes and other lures in the company's catalog. Basically, you just pop or twitch the rod tip a bit during the retrieve, and after popping or twitching during the pause, the Slug-Go will dart and weave and glide erratically. During those pauses, it acts very much like a dying or injured minnow. The action is unpredictable, and that's at least partly because there is no tail. Says Herb Reed, "It behaves similarly to a kite without a tail. It will glide and choose a random direction, instability rather than a predictable cadence pattern, such as caused by a lip on a crankbait or by a tail section to cause drag control, such as a spinner would, or a larger tail that would cause resistance and create directional stability." Reed continues, he says, "The Slug-Go is one of the few lures that can change direction, depth, and speed in the same retrieve.
Every cast can use a different darting, popping, slow to fast, or descending retrieve. You are the puppeteer. You make the Slug-Go perform.
All right, the simplest way to rig a Slug-Go is to nose hook it or chin hook it. Just hook it right here, just like so. It ends up looking like that. And that's super simple. Anybody can do it, and the lure will run correctly. The way that I prefer to hook it, and I use these Tex Poser hooks that Lunker City created just for use with the Slug-Go. I kind of Texas rig it, go into the bend, you're going to want to cover your knot, and then these letters, the wording that's on the top of the lure, you can line the bend of your hook up with those so you know where to enter. And then it'll come out like that. And you can, if you want to make it even more weedless, you just stick the point of your hook a little bit into the plastic, and that will run straight and true. And of course, if you want to put weight at the top of that, you can do that. I fish shallow enough, often enough that unless I'm fishing more than, I don't know, say 10, 15 feet, I won't use a sinker. I'll just fish it just like this.
The Slug-Go is a lure that started a whole new genre of soft plastics and spawned dozens, even hundreds of imitators. And the Slug-Go is still a go-to lure for a lot of anglers. One thing for sure, the Slug-Go will go down in bass fishing history as one of the most influential and important lures ever developed. It really did spawn an industry where dozens of other soft bait manufacturers have attempted to duplicate the magic of the original Slug-Go. A big thank you to Chris over at the Retro Bassin YouTube channel. Retro Bassin is, in my opinion, one of the best fishing YouTube channels on the internet. It's got a ton of history, a ton of feel-good content, and arguably the best theme song of any channel on YouTube. So thanks to Chris for lighting a fire under my tail to start producing videos again. Also, a shout out to Terry Battisti and the Bass Fishing Archives website. You'll get more history and detailed content and background and cool pictures on the Bass Fishing Archives website than you ever knew you needed. Also, finally, a shout out to what I consider to be one of the best podcasts out there, the Big Bass Podcast with Ken Duke and Terry Battisti. These guys do so much in-depth research, and their shows are funny, they're historical, they're rich, well worth a listen. So give the Big Bass Podcast a listen either on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out the story I wrote on Herb Reed's Lunker City Slug-Go on the Bass Fishing Archives website at this address.